Whew. Welcome to Math Mastermind. Just had to come in wearing this armor because I was out fighting a battle. It's an all-out war. It's a war against mathitis and a war against math phobia. So I had to be suited up. But what we're going to talk about today, we're going to go behind. I'm going to give you a little bit of the backstory. I'm going to give you the backstory of Math Mastermind. How did I get here today? Who's Math Mastermind? Who is Mr. Etheridge? And so, also, I just want to say thank you for being a viewer. Thank you to all the students. Thank you to all the other teachers out there watching. Thank you to any admin out there. Thank you to just all the parents, all the students, all the clients. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoy Math Mastermind, enjoy the page, enjoy the ride. So, what's the backstory? I'm going to take it to you in 4 steps. 4 steps about me here. First, I'm going to talk to you about what was school like for me as a student. Second, I'm going to talk to you about school as a teacher. Third, I'm going to tell you about my educational philosophy. And 4, I'm going to talk about specifically why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And I'm doing this because the rationale for this video is that I'm of the mindset that people learn better from people when they have a connection to them. And the best way to build connections is to find commonalities and to just show your true humanness to people. So that's what I'm doing now. Between me to you, I'm telling you, I'm pouring out my heart to you today. That's what I'm doing. I'm pouring out my heart so that you can know who Math Mastermind is. All right, so here we go. So in short, to summarize it, Mr. Etheridge is a math teacher from Chicago who loves science fiction. Man, love it. But let me tell you about what was school like for me as a student. Let's start in high school. I went to Thornwood High School in South Holland, Illinois. There I took regular algebra. I didn't place into any honors math class. Got an A in regular algebra. Then I moved on to geometry, got an A in regular geometry. And at this point, I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and see if I could deal with higher levels of math. Then I took honors algebra 2 trig. Then I took honors pre-calculus. Ended up graduating near the top of the class. It was through a lot of hard work and determination, though. We saw I didn't start off in honors classes. I started off in regular classes, then I moved my way up to the honors. So it is possible to start one place and then go up through hard work and dedication. If I could do it, I know you can do it, because I was not mathematically gifted or inclined. I was able to move up through this hard work and practice and study. And these are things that I'm going to be teaching you all through Math Mastermind and through these videos. And so then after Thornwood, I ended up going to Augustana, small liberal arts college, which is exactly what I needed as a student because I did not know what I wanted to be when I graduated from high school. And it's okay not to know. And luckily I went to a place where I got a diverse, well-rounded education. And at Augustana, I majored in sociology. And I kind of happened upon the math major. I just kept taking math classes because I'm like, man, I just so used to taking math my whole life. So I said, why stop now? And so I majored in sociology and I majored in math at Augustana. And so Augustana, it was, I started off with pre-calculus and then I moved my way up through the different math classes, pre-calculus, calculus 1, calculus 2, calculus 3, differential equations, real analysis, linear algebra, and there was some more in there. And in the sociology aspect of things, I was taking a lot of courses dealing with the intersectionality of race, class, and gender, and the narratives around them. So you put those together and how they intersect. And so it was actually my studies of sociology that led me to want to pursue a career in math education. It was in my sociology studies I saw that people were in these loopholes, these holes, where they were just going, they'd be stuck in a rut and they could never dig themselves out. and the way to get people out was through education. But then the thing is, the educational opportunities weren't well spread out, and that was problematic. So it was my senior year, I decided to apply for a program called Teach for America. Many different things about Teach for America. All I'm gonna say on that is I did Teach for America. That was my avenue to becoming a teacher. I joined TFA, and I ended up going up to Milwaukee, and I taught in Milwaukee for 6 years. So now I'm gonna move from talking to you at school as a student to now being at school as a teacher. I first started off in my first few years of teaching. I was very I do, we do, you do. That was the way I learned how to teach. It was, okay, here's the problem on the test. Now you're going to change a few numbers around, and here's your problem for the quiz. Then you're going to take that problem, you're going to change the numbers around, and here's the problem you're going to teach them in class. And you change the numbers around, and you make 10 of those, and there goes your lesson plan. And that's exactly the way I taught for 1, 2, 3 years maybe, where I would just take the test and essentially say, how do I teach them to the test? Wasn't very fun, wasn't very effective. Then later on, I started learning more about discovery-based learning, where you would just put out a question, and then the students have to dive in and investigate. And I do, we do, you do, that happened in a charter school environment. And then I started doing discovery-based learning in a public school environment and Milwaukee Public Schools. And then I was there. After some years, I decided it was time for me to come on back, and then came back to Chicago, and I started changing up the teaching style a little bit, started putting more emphasis on collaboration and facilitation, creating an environment for students to learn so that they can build what they need to build and then move ahead and elevate their learning. And so next I'm going to tell you a little bit about my educational philosophy. First and foremost, the most important thing is I believe that all children deserve to have access to high quality education. Whether or not they decide to walk through those doors, that's on them. But I believe everyone should have access. That means we should have high quality teachers in front of all students so that those students can have the opportunity to learn what that there is to learn. We shouldn't have poor performing educators who aren't successfully teaching every student. And I believe every student in the country deserves a quality teacher in front of them. That's one of my biggest things. Then I believe when I look at the word education, let's break down the word education. Education comes from the Greek edu, which means to draw out. I believe that students have the foundations when it comes to mathematics, have these foundational building blocks already ingrained in them. And I'm referring to mainly my specialty being grade 6 and up. It's different for lower grades. But grade 6 through up, I believe they already have these foundations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and other things. And it's just a matter of drawing out what they already have in them and then showing them ways to take this piece here, and then put them together to make something new. And that's my overall view on how teaching and learning should happen. We're drawing out what they already have. I believe that students learn and value more when they see a connection. It's important that when we teach math, we don't just teach it in a vacuum. We don't just say, here's this, because we always know, the math teachers watch and know, a student's always going to ask the question, so when am I ever going to need this? And so you should always have an answer to that ready, always. And so I believe that we should always be able to say, okay, this is how this concept here connects to this application in real life. And so this is the concept we're learning, and this is somewhere out there in the world that they're using it. And we got to show them that they're connected. I believe that when teaching math, it's more important to have depth of thought and connection application as opposed to just rudimentary skills. We want to have high quality learning, in-depth learning. Next, I believe in the zone of proximal development. I like to call it the ZPD. Now, the thing about the zone of proximal development, that's a philosophy that states that students learn better when they are working in collaboration with each other. And I believe in that. I've always had my students in pods and groups so that they can work together in order to push themselves forward. Collaboration is key. It helps them learn the math, but it also teaches them social skills as well. And then lastly, I believe this, as far as my philosophy goes, it's important to bring your authentic self into the classroom. You can't be fake, you can't be phony, you have to keep it real. And just bring who you are to the table. And here I am at the table, bringing you my authentic self. Very important to do. And so, it gives you so much success to be your real self in the classroom, I must say. Then, why are we here? We're here because, times are changing. And we need to make a change in education. In order to do that, we need to start getting it together. We got to just change things. We can't just keep sticking to the status quo, because the status quo isn't effective. If the status quo was effective, we wouldn't see the same schools always labeled as failing. If the status quo was working, we wouldn't have such a rampant math phobia and math anxiety in America. Because we see it's even in songs. They say, Beyonce said, I don't know much about algebra, but I know 1 plus 1 is 2. I'm like, well, I would hope so. But we have this math phobia, and it's almost like a badge of honor people wear. It's like, oh, I'm not bad at math. Oh, neither am I. And it's like a who's the worst at math contest, and people are proud. And that needs to change. That needs to change. And so here I am, suited up, ready to go to war against math phobia and mathitis. Thank you for watching Math Mastermind. And if you stick with me, I'm going to help you master your math mind.